Hey everyone, so finishing off Tennessee week, looking at the Titans of the NFL. So last season they finished the year with a 2-14 record, which equaled them getting the second overall pick in this upcoming NFL draft. And with the combine just finishing, there's been a lot of talks, a lot of mock drafts, a lot of speculation on who are the Titans going to take with the number 2 pick. Winston, the quarterback from Florida State, is most likely going number 1 overall to the Bucs. So number 2 is looking at the Titans and who are they going to take. I'm thinking they're going to go defensive side of the ball. Last season they were 29th in the league in points. They were giving up 27.4 points a game. 27th in yards, so they're giving up almost 375 yards a game. 15th in the pass, so that's not bad. 235.8 yards a game in the pass. That's good. You're in the middle of the league for giving up pass. Obviously, still something you want to improve on, but I don't think that's something where they're going to be drafting a cornerback or a safety or anything like that with their second overall pick, because they do have a veteran backfield with your safeties, with Michael Griffin, McCourty, and George Wilson, all guys that have been in the league for a while, and those three guys also led your team, for the Titans in tackles and those kind of things. So clearly, those are guys that have veteran presence in your defensive backcourt. So you won't need to be drafting a cornerback with that second overall pick. They probably still will be drafting a cornerback, but it'll probably be more like a third, fourth round pick kind of thing. Because like I said, those guys are getting older. They've been in the league for a while. But they were 31st in the league against the rush. They were giving up over 135 rushing yards a game. So I'm thinking that second overall pick is definitely either going to be going to a linebacker or a defensive lineman, defensive end kind of a player. Leonard Williams would be an obvious choice to be taken there, based on how he did at the combine and how he is as a player playing at USC, a great school. So he would most likely be a good shot to take there. Shane Ray would be another solid defensive end to take. Played at Missouri, so get another good school. If you're looking for a dark horse who might be a possibility, Dante Fowler, the outside linebacker from the Gators in Florida, he might be a decent shot. He had a good combine as well. And I think a shocker who is a guy that will probably go in top 10. I don't think the Titans will take him with the second overall pick, but Vic Beasley, who played at Clemson, had another great combine as another outside linebacker. Like I said, I think they'll probably lean towards taking Leonard Williams as a defensive end from UFC with the second overall pick, but it's still up in the air. It'll definitely be somebody on the defensive line, or if they can get an outside linebacker who does well at their personal tryouts, or not tryouts, but personal practices and workouts and that kind of stuff, and looking at their combine, looking how they did in college. There's so many factors that go into who do you take with the second overall pick, because it is going to be somebody who you're going to develop and build your defense around for sure, for years to come, and somebody that you're gonna want to make sure that he's checked out with doctors. You don't want to be drafting a guy who then, you find out he's got shoulder issues or knee issues or something like that have gone undetected through his college career and up until now. And also who their character as a person kind of thing. You don't want a guy who is not very positive or respectful with his Twitter account or addresses the media in a negative way. Those are kind of things that teams are also going to look at as well. You can be the best athlete out there, and as a defensive lineman, you can run the 40-yard dash at a 4.2, which would be ridiculously fast for a defensive end, and have great combine stats, be a All-American in college, and win BCS championships and all that kind of stuff. That's fine, but if you're a jerk and not very nice to the media, or you're posting inappropriate Twitter and tweets and stuff like that, then that's going to be something that teams are leery of, and you're not going to get drafted very high. Looking at a very good example would be Sue, kind of thing with the Lions as a current player. They'll still re-sign him. He's cleaned up his act a lot, so that's really good. But looking at a guy coming out of college who would have been drafted very high more recently with Teo from Notre Dame, once all that stuff came out about his fake girlfriend and all that kind of stuff, he now dropped to the second round. If that stuff didn't happen, he probably would have been a top 20 pick, but because of those scenarios, he dropped down to a second round pick kind of thing. So that's other things that you want to look at as players going in, is they could be projected as a first round pick, but one snide comment or one poor tweet or something like that, teams might be like, I don't know if we want to draft this guy. So that's another thing to look at with the draft. But they got a lot of time to figure it out. The draft isn't for another couple weeks. And you just got free agency to look at as well, which is where I'm going to flip over to the offensive side of the ball. Is they also, when you finish 2-14, you not winning a lot of games, so your offense is going to need some work as well. They were 30th in league in points. It just 15.9 points a game, so that's just over 2 touchdowns a game. That's not going to win you many games unless you have the number one defense by far in the league, which they did not. 29th in yards, just over 300 yards a game. 22nd in the pass, so 213.2 yards. So not last, but again, they didn't have a quarterback that played every game. You had Mettenberger come in. You had Charlie Whitehurst played for a bunch. So you have two guys there that kind of flip-flop back and forth. Jake Locker obviously started off the year a little bit for them as well. You're 26th in the rush, just 90.4 rushing yards a game. So you also had a rookie running back as well, kind of thing with that. So you got a young team. Delaney Walker, 9th-year tight end. He's a good guy to have. He led your league in led your team, in yards, 890 yards, 4 touchdowns. So you got some other receivers in there that you can work with and develop around. So that's why I don't think they're going to be drafting a quarterback with that second overall pick. I think they're going to roll the dice with Mettenberger, see what he can do. But you got to get him some weapons. Like I said, a quarterback, like I've said in previous posts, quarterback is only as good as the weapons that he has around him. When you look at elite quarterbacks, it's because they got a great tight end, or they got some really good receivers, and they've had good receivers, and they've drafted good receivers, or they've signed veteran receivers out of free agency. Looking with their rushing game, when you're only rushing the ball 90 yards a game, that puts a lot of pressure on your quarterback to make a lot of yards in the air and a lot of pressure on your receiving core to make up those yards you're not getting in the ground game. Again, they had a rookie running back as well last year, so not using that as an excuse, but you can't have a rookie running back and put him in there and expect him to carry the ball 25 times a game and get you 100-plus yards. A good running back will be able to do that, but not as a rookie. You got to let him develop, learn the playbook, get to know his team, build that chemistry so he knows where to make the cutbacks and where this guy's going to be going and how he can read defenses and stuff. It takes a while for running backs to develop and learn those things. So with Mettenberger, again, just being a second-year player, he didn't play the full season last year, and he was drafted in the 6th round, so again, he's not a guy that you drafted in the 1st or 2nd round that's now your elite quarterback, but he is a guy you can build around, and hopefully he can continue to grow and blossom, kind of thing. He was 179 attempts with 107 catches, so that's pretty decent right there. 1,400 yards, 8 touchdowns to 7 picks. So again, when you draft a quarterback into the 6th round and he now becomes your starting quarterback, you're not expecting elite numbers out of this guy because you didn't draft him in the 1st round. That's what you'd be expecting from a quarterback if you draft him really early. You're not expecting that from Mettenberger. So now with your free agency, you're taking it off a defensive lineman or an outside linebacker or somebody on defense with your 1st round pick. With your 2nd round pick, the wide receivers, there's a lot of good talent in wide receiving core this year in the draft. I think they might draft a receiver with their 2nd round pick. Again, who knows? It's where do we need to improve the team? They need to improve the team on both sides of the ball, both offense and defense. But your offense can go out and score, 28 points and 4 touchdowns a game. But if your defense is still giving up 30, then you're not going to be winning a lot of games. And like I said, last year they were giving up 27.4 a game. So, you can have great, draft great wide receivers and all that, and all that kind of stuff, and have an elite young offense that can build around and you can run with. But if your defense is still giving up points, you're not going to win a lot of games. So it'll be interesting to see who they take in the 2nd round. They might stick on the defensive side of the ball and just use a lot of early picks with that kind of thing. But now with free agency, is you got to try to find players who you can possibly acquire and get to join your team. As we've all probably seen recently, the Lions cut Reggie Bush, probably as an effort to try to re-sign Sue. They needed to get some cap space there. Great running back there. Also a nice backfield threat for a running back coming out of the backfield as a receiver kind of thing. The Titans might want to make a run at him kind of thing, because it also would be a great guy to learn from your rookie running back you drafted last year. So it'll be interesting to see with free agency how those things go kind of thing, because that's what will affect other teams and how they draft their players in the 1st round. Is teams who are looking for a running back, as we've seen in previous years, running backs aren't usually taken in the 1st round, but if a team's looking for a running back and they find a way to sign Reggie Bush, like the Titans are, then okay, your running back issue is now resolved. You can get the ball to Reggie Bush. That also alleviates the pressure that Mettenberger is going to have on his shoulders to try to lead a young team kind of thing. So it'd be interesting to see how the Titans go go this season. Like I said, with their second overall pick, it'll be on the defensive side of the ball. I'm fairly confident in saying that. So let's see what they can do. Let's look at free agency. They got a couple months where they can still try to acquire assets through the free agency market and not have to rely so heavily on the draft. Although when you have the second overall pick, you know you're going to be getting a quality player, so you're going to want to zone in on those players that you're thinking you want to draft. Have them for personal practices, personal looks, personal workouts at your facilities. Get them talking with your coaches so that the coaches can start building a rapport with those guys so they can come in and make an impact right away. So this upcoming season, we'll see what happens. They haven't been awful for a long time. They did win the AFC South back in 2008. So that's something, less than a decade ago they're winning their division. So that's something that you can look at and say, they haven't been bad for a while. They've just been bad recently. But when you have a poor team, you get high draft picks and you let those guys develop. By the end of this decade, I can see the Titans being another threat in the AFC South and making some playoff pushes. Lastly, I'm just going to speak briefly on Steve McNair, who I think it was the elite quarterback, the best quarterback in Titans history, arguably, is who I'm going to say right there. Obviously passed away back in 2009 way too early, but, he played with the Titans from 95 to 2005. He was the third overall pick in 95, so obviously he was a high draft pick who turned out to be amazing for them. So hopefully this second overall pick can turn out to be a great defender for their team as well. McNair had 174 touchdowns in his career, over 31,000 yards, so that's obviously somebody that the Titans should be proud of, that he was played on their team for a whole decade. And like I said, unfortunately, passed away way too early back in 2009. So I don't want to end on a sour note, though. Let's see what the Titans can do with the second overall pick and draft a guy on the defensive line or an outside linebacker that can make an impact. Keep an eye on the free agency market. Like I said, as of recently, Reggie Bush is now out there. Teams that you're looking for a running back are going to be calling him. And hopefully the Titans are one of those teams that are making a call to Bush's agent to try to get him to sign with the Titans. So, second overall pick, draft in a couple months. Let's see what they can do with that, and good luck to the Titans in this upcoming season.